It is Saturday, December 25th in the NFL, and we got two games on today. We got the Browns taking on the Packers, the Colts taking on the Cardinals, and here are my four best bets. We got two player props and two spread picks coming your guys' way, but truthfully, something just doesn't feel right. Let me just fix this real quick. Boom, you see it. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone out there that is celebrating. We're in the Christmas spirit over here at the Call on Our Shot channel. We appreciate all of you guys in the community. Over the past year, we've grown rapidly. We've got climbing the ranks on YouTube. I mean, we appreciate you guys. So if you aren't following us on our social media, links down below. Also, subscribe if you guys are new. We're less than 70 subscribers away from 17,000. If you want to give me a present for Christmas, consider clicking that subscribe button. It's 100% free. It only takes a couple seconds. Also, like the video if you really want to. Share the holiday spirit in the comments down below. We started off week 16 in the NFL with a bang. Last week we were 10-4. We've started this week 2-0. We had the Titans plus 3.5. Jawan Jennings going over, who just barely climbed over. I know a lot of people had him at 19.5. That was painful to watch. But let's waste no more time. Let's get into the slate. And we got two games on this Christmas day on Saturday, December 25th. If you're a foreign viewer, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now let's get into it. My player prop, we're going to start with the Browns-Packers game because that's the first one on the slate. I'm taking Davante Adams over. I'm taking his anytime touchdown prop, minus 135 on DraftKings. Now, this is when it pays to have multiple different sportsbooks accounts because on DraftKings, it's minus 135, but on FanDuel, it's minus 145, BetMGM, minus 160. So I'm getting the best value, I believe, on this book. I tried to do some digging, and this is the best value I found for Davante Adams at this moment. Now, as I post this video on Christmas Eve, December 24th, I must say, happy birthday, Davante Adams. That is correct. It is his birthday today. Obviously, the games are on tomorrow, or when you're watching this, probably on Saturday, Christmas Day. Now, let's, of course, if it would be nice, if Aaron Rodgers wants to be nice and give him a Christmas present, that would be awesome. But not only that, Aaron Rodgers has some records to break of his own. He is currently tied with Brett Favre for the most touchdowns of all time in Packers team history. So, you know, what if he wants to do it? Just combine it into one first touchdown. That would be plus 500 to Davante Adams. I'd love to see that. But let's talk about Adams a little bit more, since we're not counting on him to get the first touchdown, which is plus 500 odds. But we're counting on him to just score an anytime touchdown, minus 135. Now, Adams, let's be honest, he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL and one of the best touchdown scorers as well. Now, the Ravens last week, they doubled, they triple teamed him. He even showed it on an interview, putting up screenshots of them doubling him nonstop, and he still scored a touchdown, and he has scored a touchdown in 3 of his last 4 games, so he has a solid track record. But let's talk about Davante Adams in the month of December, because this guy has been an absolute feast. He's been feasting all December in the majority of his career now. In the last 7 games in December, he's had a touchdown in 6 of them. So not too bad. That's pretty ridiculous, having a touchdown in 6 of his last 7 December games. But what if we want to stretch it back a little bit even further? Let's talk about, fine, you know, I'll do it for you guys. In his last 17 December games, Davante Adams, that's dating back all the way to 2017, Adams has scored a touchdown in 13 of those games, 13 for 17, 76% of the time. I'm going to take my chances today in a game that I expect the Packers to have to throw it, and that's going to lead to a dominant showing from Adams. You think about the Browns' defensive backs, they're not necessarily the best in the NFL, not the worst, but I think Adams will get into the end zone today. That's what he does. He's a touchdown artist, touchdown specialist, and you know Mr. Aaron Rodgers wants to give him a nice birthday present. We'll ride with Davante Adams anytime touchdown. Now let's move on to my spread pick, and you think, you know, he loves Davante Adams, thinks Packers are going to be throwing it. Naturally, you probably think the Packers minus 7.5 is my pick. Wrong. I'm taking the Browns plus 7.5. And I understand you guys have already gone to the comments. You're like, you are an idiot. I hate this, blah, blah, blah. And I understand it. Everyone was against me on Thursday night, and they were picking the 49ers to cover. No, they said not so fast. And I think this is another game here because this is going to be an unpopular one. And honestly, to win spreads in the NFL, you pretty much got to go against the public. And this is exactly what this pick is. Now, right now, I believe over 75 to 80% of the bets are on Packers minus 7.5. I get it. It's Lambeau Field. I don't think the Packers have lost at home all season long. They're 11-3 against the spread, the best in the NFL. But I'm here to say, betting spreads in the NFL is not easy, and when it looks too good to be true, it's probably because it is, because the Packers minus 7.5 is probably a very easy bet. You go to bed at night sleeping, you know, good, saying, I laid money on the Packers minus 7.5 versus a lowly Browns team that's been struggling to survive. They're missing a lot of people. Probably will get some guys back today, but still haven't been good all year long. And that's when the complete opposite happens. That's the NFL for you, and the Browns say, not so fast. And look, if you listen to the podcast, you would know I'm not a big Browns fan. Absolutely not. I won't come out here and say, oh, this guy loves the Browns. Now, you got the wrong guy. I've actually kind of trashed them a lot on the podcast, but I look at this team and I think they have the recipe to beat, I'm not necessarily saying they'll beat the Packers, but I think they can keep this one close because you look at their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, returning. He did not coach last week due to illness, like pretty much everyone else in the NFL, but he's returning and he has plenty of experience against Aaron Rodgers as he was a coach for the Minnesota Vikings from 2006 to 2019 before accepting his first head coaching job at the Browns. And obviously the Browns have they've only lost back-to-back games once under Stefanski. They obviously lost on Monday night against the Raiders. And that's a great thing when we're not really asking for the Browns to win this game outright, but if they do, even better. But you look at the Browns, they're getting several key offensive starters back, including Baker Mayfield. And although I don't necessarily love Baker, he should be back today on Saturday to really get after it. And Nick Mullins, the guy that started last week, was not it. Now, the Packers also will be missing a couple offensive linemen, so have fun blocking Myles Garrett on Christmas. You won't want to do that, even despite not practicing all week. He said it would take a broken leg to keep him out of this game. He knows this is a big game for the Browns. They basically need to win out to make the playoffs, and I think they'll be hungry, and they'll be ruining some Christmas Day Packers -7.5 bets. So give me the Browns to cover, a big, extensive workload from Nick Chubb, and even if Adams gets into the end zone, I think Rodgers will be chasing these milestones. They'll be unfocused, and I think the Browns cover this game, or at least keep this one close, maybe even win it outright. So let's move on to the Colts traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. So here we got a game that is going to be an interesting one. The spread's about 1.5 points. But let's get into my player prop first, and we're talking about an Arizona Cardinals player, Zach Ertz. I'm taking his over 43.5 receiving yards, -117 on Barstool. So Zach Ertz, the former Philadelphia Eagle, he's been a worthwhile addition for this Arizona Cardinals offense, especially after they are without DeAndre Hopkins for the remainder of the season. They really need these pass catchers, especially in this matchup against the Colts. So last week in the Cardinals collapse versus the Lions, he still saw 11 targets, turned it into 6 receptions for 74 yards. Over his last 5 games, here's his receiving numbers. He's had 46, 88, 10, 42, and 74 yards last week. So he set this over in 3 of those 5 games and finished 2 yards short another time. But the main reason we're here is truthfully because of the Colts defense. Now, I do think the Colts defense is good, but what they do is they give up, I'll give you a question. I'll give you a guess. Which team in the NFL has allowed the most receiving yards to tight ends this season? Yeah, exactly. Your guess is correct. The Indianapolis Colts have allowed the most receiving yards to opposing tight ends, allowing over 68 receiving yards per game. I expect Ertz to continue that tradition against this on Christmas Day. The Ertz should be able to get a healthy dosage of targets against this team. Think about the Colts defense. They play a lot. They leave a lot open in the middle of the field, and I think he'll be wide open, getting some easy yards, and maybe even cashes this in the first half if we're lucky. So I'm going to ride with Ertz. I think he had some good momentum from last week, getting 74 receiving yards. Obviously, they need pass catchers, and Ertz is one of the best in the league at just lining up over the middle, one of the best tight ends in the league. I'll ride with Ertz to get over 43.5 receiving yards, and even maybe a sprinkle on 70 plus, which is plus 310 on FanDuel. But let's dive into my spread pick for this game, and I don't know if this is going to become as a surprise, but I'm taking the Colts plus 1.5 versus the Cardinals. Now this is -115 on FanDuel, and let's look at these two teams, because it's a case of two teams heading in opposite directions, which the Colts, winners of 5 of their last 6 games, while the Cardinals lost 2 straight games, and they've lost 3 straight at home, which is where they're at home today, sadly for them, because they've been much better on the road for whatever reason. And for Christmas, the Colts, they're giving the Colts Jonathan Taylor up the middle 25 plus times. If you want to take his rushing attempts over, go for it. But I didn't want to double down on 2 different game script dependent things. But Colts, they found a recipe for success. They've been cooking it up. And what's the recipe? It's here's the load of Jonathan Taylor, and here's the load of Carson Wentz. That's basically what the recipe is for success, and it's been working because they're taking the ball out of Carson Wentz's hand, saying, hey, we want Jonathan Taylor to have the ball. Carson Wentz, throw it 12 times if you have to. We don't care. We want Jonathan Taylor to absolutely dominate the workload, and it's paid off dividends. Winning 5 of their last 6 games. They're 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 road games. And in this game, I think it comes down to physicality, as a lot of NFL games do, and it's going to come down to who wins in the trenches, and I'd argue that the Colts should win on both sides of the ball. When I look at this game, I think it comes down to 2 things also. Another 2 things. Leadership and momentum. Obviously, the Colts have all the momentum, winning a ton of their games, and they got a lot to win for because they are on the edge of the playoffs. And I don't think they'll win their division after a big Titans win on Thursday night, but they're tied with a lot of other teams at 8-6 going into the playoffs. They need to win these games, in my opinion. But leadership, the Cardinals, I don't think they have the leadership that it takes to win these games. A big game on Christmas Day, Saturday night, primetime game. And I just haven't seen the leadership out of Kyler Murray or Cliff Kingsbury all season long. Now, sure, they were winning games and it didn't matter. They could just win games, roll through teams. But when adversity hit, they've really struggled, and that's shown. Last week, they got blown out by the Detroit Lions. And the Lions play harder than a lot of teams in the NFL, and any team can win any given Sunday, in this case, Saturday. But still, I think this Cardinals team is reverting back to what we've seen over the past couple seasons with Kyler Murray at QB, the team that just kind of lays down when they get punched in the gut. They just say, no, they're just going to fold, and I think they're really going to feel that again today. So I'm going to ride with the Colts. I think they can get this win outright. We'll take them plus 1.5. You want to sprinkle on their money line, go for it. But you look at the Colts, this is a team that's fighting for a lot more. They're trying to get into the playoffs. The Cardinals most likely are already going to get into the playoffs. Now, it depends. They're trying to win the division, obviously. They're right tied with the Rams with the best record in that division. But still, I want when it's all said and done, I think the Colts got a little bit more to play for, and it's all I'll take with them. They're traveling to Phoenix, and they're just going to bully the Cardinals up and down the field with Jonathan Taylor. But I will say, I think Carson Wentz has a decent game. Now, don't bet his unders. You can if you want, but I think they've really set up that play-action pass, running the ball nonstop over the past 2 weeks. I think the Cardinals are going to sell out to stop the run, and we could say a decent game from Michael Pittman Jr., maybe even T.Y. Hilton, maybe even Jack Doyle or Mo Alley-Cox, one of those guys. So the Colts wide receivers and tight ends might be wide open over the middle in this game. But that'll do it. Those are my 4 best picks for Christmas Day in the NFL, but we'll have Christmas Day and an NBA best bets. The NBA dominates Christmas most normally, and so we'll have our NBA best bets live either later tonight on Christmas Eve or early on Christmas morning. And then, of course, our NFL parlays and player props for week 16 overall, the video that we're 21-7 over our past 7 weeks. That video will be live on Saturday night, Christmas night. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays to everyone. The content's not stopping, so join the Call on Our Shot community. We are going to the moon. Let's see how many subscribers we can hit before the new year. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.